Welcome, dear viewers, to a new episode of Dialogue Horizon. In this episode we will continue on covering the ongoing concern of many people and the changing frequency by the hour, actually, of the situation in the country between different views. Until this moment, we are talking that nothing appears in the near horizon of a near solution to the conflict. On the contrary, it is being aggravated last week by other formations of new bodies anti to the settlement process which was going, which will impede, definitely it will impede the process of reaching agreement or settlement between the civilians and the military component. So we are happy to host in this episode our friend, Dr. Associate Professor Samani Hanoun. Samani Hanoun, as many times we mentioned that, he is an activist and he's part of the revolution since its start in December. And he is also an academic, he's a professor in different universities, especially Ahmad University, and he's known to be very active in different parts of the political arena. Welcome, Associate Professor Dr. Samani Hanoun.
Thanks, Engineer Abu Haras, and thanks to Dialogue Horizon for this opportunity to highlight the hot issues today which take place under highly dynamic and changing environment. I'm happy to join this special episode.
That's good, thank you very much. I think we start by the most important event which did a lot of impediments or a lot of changes in the ongoing process of the settlement between the military component and the freedom forces, the change freedom forces. It stopped the process, which is the event of the return of Maulana Muhammad Osman al-Marghani, the Khatmiya sect godfather, and after being in exile for more than 10 years or about 10 years between United Kingdom and Egypt, and last week he's back to the country, and he was well received by many people. But let's tell us. First, they say that the main purpose of the arrival or the return of the Maulana al-Marghani is to reunite the Unionist the Democratic Unionist Party, especially after the big split between his two sons. And then he also known that he had an initiative before he came, a few months or 1 year before. He sent an initiative calling General Burhan to sit with all factions and to try to come to a solution. And it seems that the initiative also did not find a way to be implemented or to be discussed. So do you think he will if we go to the issue that the purpose is to unite, do you think now he is in a position to do anything on his party?
First of all, welcome to Maulana Muhammad Osman al-Marghani, and we are happy to receive this national leader in his country and among his supporters. Maulana al-Marghani, needless to repeat, is one of the national figures with recognized contribution to the politics in Sudan, and he is the founding fathers of the Khatmiya sect, and he contributed to the contemporary political life in Sudan since independence and up to date. He is the founding fathers of the Democratic Unionist Party, and he contributed to the old democratic era in Sudan, and his history is well known to the Sudanese people. So welcome with Maulana Muhammad Osman al-Marghani in Sudan, and we wish him very happy stay among his supporters and his people in Sudan. Maulana Muhammad Osman al-Marghani, definitely he will play a role in the political arena in Sudan because of his supporters, because of the approaches he used to follow in order to settle disputes in Sudan. He is one of the moderate, like Al-Imam al-Sadiq al-Mahdi, his party to support the modernism in Sudan rather than extremism. So he will support modernism in Sudan, and he will act to reconcile the dispute among the different conflicting parties in Sudan. Definitely Maulana will contribute to the political ongoing congestions in Sudan, and especially unifications of the Democratic Unionist Party, which represent a practical challenge before Maulana today to unite the many parties of the Democratic Unionist Party. I think Maulana will take the same path of father, JIT, his initiative to support national consensus among people, among the Sudanese people. This is actually will be another challenge to Maulana while he is in Sudan, to reconcile or create what we describe as national consensus among all Sudanese people, which he will face practical challenges because of the FFC and the others parties that are again in the rally. They will face a lot of challenges in order to reconcile disputes among all these conflicting parties in Sudan. So Maulana will succeed, I think, proportionally to reconcile dispute among the Democratic Unionist Party, but definitely will face challenge when he moves a step forward to settle the dispute among different groups in Sudan.
So from what you said, I understand that before, which is quite logical, but before going to address the whole factions, he has to address first his party. Because his party, he has two of his sons, are definitely at loggerheads.
Yeah.
One, Al-Hassan, who is hosted almost all portfolios of the party, he signed on the agreement, he signed the draft of the Sudan Bar Association.
Yeah.
This agreement or this proposal, which is endorsed by the Freedom and Forces, the original powers.
Yeah.
On the other side, his son Ja'far, he formed, he's now a leader in the other faction.
Yeah.
Of Freedom and Forces,
Democratic group,
Force of Freedom and Change, a democratic bloc, the democratic bloc, which is definitely on the other side of the other Force of Freedom and Change.
Yeah.
So, do you think he is in a position, or will be able and capable enough to do something in this?
Yeah, in this special issue,
Maulana
can play a considerable role, because if you flash back the history of the two groups, the Democratic Bloc and FFC, both of them, they originated in December Revolution. They are part of December Revolution. So they share common factors, and they share the principles of December Revolution. The Maulana Muhammad Usman al-Mirghani can unite these two groups because they came from the same background.
Before uniting his sons?
Yes, first step مفترض unite his sons, and I think this is possible. Yeah, this is possible. The second step, he can play a role to unite the two groups, the Democratic Bloc headed by his son Ja'far, and the FFC, because both of them, they came from December Revolution. They are based on the principles of December Revolution. So Maulana can contribute to fill the gap or to bridge the gap between the two groups, because he's a part of the moderate school, as I described it, and he can play and get the respects of a vast majority of Sudanese people. So he can play a role, especially you see his son Ja'far headed this group of the marginalized people, especially. And now Maulana can play a role to bridge the gap between FFC and the Democratic Bloc, as we said. I think he will play a role in this area.
But Professor, very important point,
yeah,
which I don't really believe that. He already took side by aligning with his son Ja'far, and by what I consider not founded allegation, I'm not sure, that he refused the arrival or to see his son Al Hassan in the airport, which is, I doubt it very much, but anyhow, this is what is spilled over. It's what is spilled over, and nobody rebutted or said no, it's not correct till now, till this moment.
Yes.
So I don't think he will be in a position to play part. Or he already took one side.
Let us go further. If you just consider the position, you can easily discover that the democratic bloc, especially one of the audience of the military coup in Sudan, and Maulana has a very close link also with military forces in Sudan, as you know, as he's a national leader. And the FFC now involved in negotiations with the military components. So the common factor between both these components, the military. So he can play a role among these groups in order to reconcile among them, especially all of them, they came from with the background of December Revolution. They can easily united against the common goals of the nations of the Sudan. So Maulana especially can play a role of a middleman between these three components, the FFC, the military, the democratic bloc. So I think he is qualified enough to do the job because he has supporters in different parts of country, and you know the historical role of the Democratic Unionist Party in Sudan. So he is one of the leaders and one of the national figures in Sudan, can contribute. Although some people worry about his relation with Egypt, but I think the majority of the people respect Maulana, and he has a recognized role to support democracy in Sudan since early time, and his Democratic Unionist Party occupied the second position in the last election in Sudan. That means he has a majority of supporters in Sudan, and they will influence the decisions later on in the to the transitional or during the transitional period. The signature of Muhammad al-Hassan to the transitional constitution does not contradict his trend to reconcile among these parties, because all these components rely on the transitional constitution presented by the bar associations in Khartoum. So I think he will play role because of all these factors. He can play a role among these different components, and he is, I think, acceptable.
But Professor, let me interrupt you, because the other block, the nascent block, which is from 2 days ago, the FFC, the Democratic Bloc, is adamantly against the draft of the Sudanese Bar Association. Definitely, they will not accept it, and they are talking this is something secular, and it's coming from outside. You are following the media.
It is not true. It is not true. I know,
but that's what they are provoking.
Yeah, proposed by a Sudanese advocate, and you know the one or the committee who sponsored this proposal. Any proposals can be supported by consultants from outside in order to retrack, and this is a very conventional work in any international or constitutional work like the transitional constitution. So technical advices can be borrowed from outside or from anywhere in order to support and to make integrated constitutions that meet the requirements of the transitional period.
Even the Juba agreement was supported by
foreigners also.
Very close.
Yeah, very close to the supervision to the agreement.
Yes.
So this is technical advice.
And not only, also Nivasha. Which is signed by the OECD regime.
Yeah,
it was supported.
It's supported by the foreigners.
By foreigners, yes.
Yeah, I think it is an integral part of any work. You need to make consultants, you need to make technical advice by the experts from outside. So I think not totally, or these proposals presented by foreigners, it's not true.
So let us agree on also, as you started.
Yeah.
You said that Maulana Muhammad will start first by
unifying
his home.
Yeah.
By unifying his home,
sons,
and maybe he will succeed in doing that, because both are his sons.
They are sons.
And once he achieves this important step, he can go to the second step. Before this, he cannot.
Yeah, definitely.
Before
the first step, he must unify his son and to make a very clear statement that both of them are under the sponsors of Maulana Muhammad Usman al-Mirghani, because his son Muhammad al-Hassan especially involved in other components, that is of FFC. But Maulana, I think he can achieve the mission. He can sign or reconcile between his two sons, and then he can move ahead to address the other problem of unifying the democratic bloc headed by his son Ja'far and FFC. So I think he is the only leader can play role, especially these days. We lost Imam al-Sadiq al-Mahdi and all the historical leaders of the country. So we remain only with Maulana Muhammad Usman al-Mirghani. He's a religious leader, and he has special respects among vast majority of the Sudanese people. Even in Darfur movement, his supporters, the armed forces, and peace partners, he can play a role. I think he is qualified to play a role.
So he can, you think he will do a role? We hope so. We hope that he will be able and capable enough that to solve this problem, because this is actually a dreadful impasse.
Yeah.
Now Sudan is a very dreadful juncture. So we need some wisdom. Sudan
this is
needs
why we
some wisdom that they can do. So although many people, they believe that even Maulana al-Mirghani, if he reaches an agreement and it is not going in line with the revolutionaries who are now taken to the street, they are saying that it will not succeed, and the gap will widen between the two blocs.
I think all the active players in December revolution, now they move after the stations of the December. They are talking about a new transitional constitution. That means they launch a new proposal. In this proposal, it is not necessary to be exactly like the constitutional documents. The constitutional documents no longer valid right now, and people talking about a new proposal. In this new proposal, the active partners, parties in December revolution can share the discussions, and they can present their own views. And under this umbrella, Maulana Muhammad Usman al-Mirghani has right to share the new transitional constitution in Sudan, which is slightly different from the constitutional document prepared after December revolution. So this new transitional constitution gives chance for all active players to comment on the components of this new constitution and represent a further step in December revolution. So this is a new stage in December revolution with a new constitution, with the new views, with the new players, not like constitutional documents. So under this umbrella, Maulana Muhammad Usman al-Mirghani can join the new transitional constitution, and he can make very constructive comments on this special transitional constitution. It is not necessarily all the players of December revolution will be included in the new constitution. You know, the Communist Party now outside this debate. So this is a new paradigm, a new way in order to address the national issue. Maulana can play and join the December revolution in the second version. This is a new version of December revolution.
Okay, Professor, let's move a little bit a step further from the arrival, the return of Maulana Muhammad al-Mirghani, and we go to the action, to the fact which is now prevailing in the country. According to what we are seeing, which we see now, it seems that the military component will be in a fix, in only one position, to form a government, non-partisan government, not necessarily technocrats, but definitely not a partisan, not people affiliated to any political party. Some people, they say that because the army, they issued a statement, General Burhan, that they are waiting till the last addresses last week. He said that we are waiting for the different groups to come to a consensus on how to govern the new transitional period. And some people they see that they think that he is genuine about it, but at the same time they think that he is sure, and the army, the military component is sure that the consensus under these conditions is
difficult.
extremely. It's impossible actually. Let us say it's
And
impossible.
I expect the general,
Especially after the arrival of Maulana al-Marghani, which some people they say that it was also directed from outside somehow, or there is some influence from outside, without naming any direction from outside, because that side which supported the return of Maulana is leaning to the military component. So this will widen the gap definitely, and already it did widen the gap between the warring factions.
Yeah.
So how do you see that?
So
will the military component be forced to form a government anyway, and how to?
I think at the end
avoid.
of the day, the military component will take a decisions to form the government.
Will take a decision.
I will take a decision because it takes very long time and endless negotiation in order to realize what describe it as national consensus, which describe it as difficult, or it is impossible under this very tight condition in Sudan to unite all Sudanese people around a prime minister or any constitutional framework. So at the end of the day, the military component will be very keen in order to get majority of the Sudanese people and to nominate the government by majority, not by consensus. So they have to change the assumption. Instead of full consensus of Sudanese people, they will accept majority of Sudanese people. Under this assumption, the Maulana al-Marghani and other active players, peace partners, and the FFC and like in the December Revolution can unite to establish the government, and the military component will support the government definitely, and the international community also by way or another will accept the new government sent by majority, not by consensus. Consensus, it is difficult under this Sudan, but by majority they can send the government. So I think from my own, I expect that at the end of the day, the General Burhan will take decision based on majority to set the national government.
Or maybe the military component, because the military component is also under pressure from two different sides, two external sides and inside. So I think if they are only left with the option of forming a government, they will definitely form a government which will not be leaning to this side or that side. Otherwise, it will not be accepted. They try to make a government but if they make it clearly, because the military component has supported the other bloc, the new democratic bloc is definitely aligning with the military component. But the military component, I don't think will dare to form a government from this bloc and forget.
No,
completely.
They will set the government from the bureaucrats in the civil government and the civil service, and non-partisan leaders who are not aligned
known to be
belong to any
party.
political party. So this government will be accepted by majority of Sudanese people at least, and it will not be it will be neutral, not belong to the FFC or to the democratic bloc, but by the bureaucrats.
No problem. Okay. Now let us go back a little bit, just to make a comparison. If you remember, in after April Revolution 1985, the April Revolution, which hosted the military regime of General Ja'far Numeri after 16 years of rule. Late Field Marshal Suwar al-Dahab took the rule for 1 year. And he was very keen that not one moment or 1 minute after 1 year. After 1 year, during this year he prepared for general election. And they ran the elections, in which Umma party got
score.
101 seat.
105, yeah.
The Unionist, the Democratic Unionist Party of Maulana al-Marghani, 63 seats, and
the
Islamic Front,
51.
51. Most of it was in the graduate constituencies. So things went very smooth at that time.
Yeah.
The one-year transition period under the Prime Minister was Dr. Juduri Dafa'allah, and he did the job which was
very excellent.
told to do it.
Yeah. 1
year and afterwards they managed to make
as simple as that.
And the army went back immediately.
Yeah.
They withdrew to the barracks.
Yeah.
So what went wrong this?
Yeah, let us again flash back. During early time of negotiation, we proposed to our friend in FFC and professional association that we need to borrow the example of Suar al-Dahab. Why Suar al-Dahab model? Suar al-Dahab model actually has some characteristic feature. One of the feature, it is short in length of time, and as you have a short time, you have less risk. The longer the period, the greater the risk. So Suar al-Dahab model took only 1 year, and after that, General Suar al-Dahab give up power to the elections, after elections, that during which the Ummah party score about 105, and the Unionist parties score about 33 constituency, and the last one, the Islamic Front, which score about 51 members in the parliaments.
Yeah.
So that record actually represent ideal model. During negotiation, we strongly recommend, this is for FFC, to avoid the risk of military coup, and to avoid other potential risk, let us take very short period. And after that, we should go to election in order to elect the government, the new government. But most of the negotiators during that time, they talk about longer period of time, that we want to at least capture power without election. So that is some sort of deception, and actually resulted in this very dramatic result, because military coup and other risks encounter the transitional period. So again, we repeat that model of Suar al-Dahab is the ideal model to exercise transitional period in Sudan. Short period, immediately preceded by elections, and the military forces totally withdraw from the political arena. That is actually as simple as that.
So
and still now, Professor Jazuli is alive. He can do the job again. Why not? Why you don't hear Jazuli?
Maybe he's old, but anyhow, what you are saying is that the shorter the transitional period, the safer.
The risk.
The safer, okay.
Yeah, the safer.
Okay, but let us go back. Okay, after transitional period, 1 year, it was 1 year. Also, some people they flash back on the failure of the political parties which got seats in the parliament. Not a single party managed to have a majority, a comfortable majority that make it rule. Like the Ummah party and the Democratic Unionist Party, they used to form coalition governments. Coalition government created a lot of problems, which led to 3 coups. The 3 coups did not come just by the army without a cause. The first military coup of General Aboud of November 1958, it was a handover from the Ummah party to the military. Late Abdullah Khalil. Then Nimeri in May, 25th of May 1969, it was initiated by the Communist Party because they were expelled out of the parliament and were banned by the parliament in a democratic system, which was something very bad, very sad, unfortunate, which happened. This led to all this situation. So the communists also, they did the coup of 1969 and the Islamists 1989 after. So some people they see that okay, just a short transitional period will repeat the vicious circle of short democratic rule, followed by long military coup rule. So how
So
can
repeat the
you
rule of Einstein again.
don't,
You're
don't,
talking
don't,
about the same,
don't repeat the same mistake
and to
and
expect
expecting
different
different
results.
results?
Yes, you are right when you talk about the role of the political party in military coup in Sudan. When you flash back the history, you can easily discover the dilemma, the problems of the political party in Sudan, and to what extent they are associated and linked to the military coup in Sudan. Any military coup took place in Sudan is supported by the military party in Sudan. So this is one of the dilemma of the parliament system. Why we propose the presidential system? We want to get rid and to move from this vicious circle. Unless we introduce a new smart political solution by introduction of presidential system, we would again produce the same result.
Okay, okay. Let tell you about tell me about a very important issue.
Yes.
Now the last general election, which we mentioned here in 1986,
yes.
almost 34 or 36 years ago.
Yes.
A lot of changes, demographic changes happened and the youth they started taking part. So what are your expectations if we go for elections after say 1 or 2 years? What will be the role of the youth and the demographic change in the country, in Sudan?
Actually, we are moving ahead to get dramatic result in the foreseen elections. Why? The most important ICT revolution, the information and communication revolution. The new generations in Sudan heavily rely on Google, on WhatsApp and Facebook. And the new generation will not support the old political parties, you know. The new generation take their own track, like what happened with the resistance group today. They reject all the old Sudan and they move to the new Sudan. So I expect that in the future election, most of the political parties, some of them will disappear totally. Others that will still alive will not score less than 30% of the numbers of members scored in the last elections.
Including the big two.
Even the two largest political parties in Sudan will not score more than 30 to 40% of the members during the last elections. So that means a dramatic change resulted. New forces come to the power.
New generation
enlightened
by the media.
Yeah, with the media and informations. That will change the result, definitely. And we'll get very fabulous result, actually. Some political party totally will disappear from the list. So a new Sudan actually taking the way. Now we are living in a transitional period between old Sudan, they are fighting to exist, and starting of new Sudan. The next station will represent the practical point to start the new Sudan with the new parties, with the new leaders. So expect that dramatic change.
So you'll expect the dramatic change?
Dramatic change.
I agree with you. I agree with you because you know you are right.
Yes.
A lot of water went under the bridge in the 35 years. This is a lot of change. Primarily, the role of the media, the progress and development and the fast development in the media, and people became
social awareness.
People connected. People are connected, in different forms of the communication. So now the youth now are playing a part, and it is only fair that we should give them the chance to decide for themselves and to choose their leaders. We are now we are all people who contribute, who witnessed the elections, past elections. They should not be in the arena. They should not be in the scene.
Actually, in this stage, now we are living in the air, the line between old Sudan and the new Sudan. There is conflict. You see, the old Sudan shaped by 4 institutions: native administration, the religious sects, the military coups, and the sectarian parties.
Sectarian party.
These are the institutions of the old Sudan, now are dying and fighting, and this is the last chance for them. After the election, immediately will start the new Sudan. In New Sudan, no election. There is no role for the military, for the religious set. There is no role for the native administration. There is no role for the institution of old Sudan. Now in the turning point between old Sudan and the new Sudan. So people, they should prepare themselves at early time for change.
For change. So you're expecting a big change.
So don't get astonished when you get the result. Keep quiet.
So this is very true. This is due to demographic changes. The people, they're moving the people, plus the awareness of the youth and their role in the revolution. These two factors enhance your proposal for presidential system. Because definitely. Parliamentary system where you can nominate people from different constituencies, things have changed. Completely changed.
So we have to cope up
most of the people in the big capital in the national capital in Khartoum here. So okay. Let us move to another issue, which is the visits made by member of the Supreme Council General Ibrahim Jabir to 7 countries, almost 7 countries of IGAD, on the hope that Sudan can contribute on changing some of the role or some of the ways IGAD is doing its work, plus asking IGAD to put some pressure or to support Sudan in the African Union, to come back to the African Union.
I think the last visit paid by the General Ibrahim Jabir mainly addressed the role of Sudan in IGAD as one of the development agency in Africa, and is recognized.
Nominate people from different constituencies, things have changed. Completely changed.
So we have to cope up
most of the people in the big capital in the national capital in Khartoum here. So okay. Let us move to another issue, which is the visits made by member of the Supreme Council General Ibrahim Jabir to 7 countries, almost 7 countries of IGAD, on the hope that Sudan can contribute on changing some of the role or some of the ways IGAD is doing its work, plus asking IGAD to put some pressure or to support Sudan in the African Union, to come back to the African Union.
I think the last visit paid by the General Ibrahim Jabir mainly addressed the role of Sudan in IGAD as one of the development agency in Africa, and is recognized role in Africa. So the General also tend to play greater role by IGAD towards the African Union in order to relax suspensions of membership of Sudan in African Union. So I think he tried to pave the way to remove suspensions of membership by African Union and to get back again to the African Union, like what did by the Egyptian, by the Chadian, by different African countries when the African Union suspends its membership. So I think he's working in the same track in order at least to increase integrations of the national government in surrounding or regional institution like IGAD, which is headed by Sudan.
So it's a good
now.
step. It's a good step.
So
you
it
think?
is a good step to
Not
relax.
only for this, for also for the IGAD step to play a very more important role. IGAD now is not playing the role which it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Plus,
Yeah.
now Sudan is impliedly accusing the African Union of playing with double standards. Chad and Ivory Coast, why?
Yes.
Why suspended? Not only also Egypt.
Yeah.
Egypt was suspended.
And again they relaxed.
Again they relaxed
Yes.
quickly, immediately.
Yeah.
But now it is high time for the African Union
to take the decisions and to relax. Yeah, Sudan need to go back to African Union again.
The African Union, because it is part of the international institutions recognized by
the UN.
by UN and United Nations. So,
Yes.
so you think the visit is important? Is good?
I think it is a step to recover the lost regional and international relations, and especially since October 25 and up to date, Sudan faces some sort of isolations from outside the world. Now I think the General Ibrahim Jabir moved to these special countries, IGAD and African unions, in order to relax suspensions of membership, and Sudan goes back to the African unions again.
Which is something good.
Yeah,
we hope you will succeed in
his mission.
that.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, let us also go to another also African issue, which is Khartoum hosted last week a very important conference of the intelligence services in Africa. CISA.
Yeah.
This is being hosted in Sudan, and Sudan they talk about how to combat the smuggling and the trafficking of humans and terrorists, how to combat terrorism. Can you tell us about this and the importance of this?
CISA moved to Sudan because during the last few months and the members of the collapsed regime, again, they get active in demonstrations and movement. So the region and the world are worried about the emerging of terrorism again in the regions. And actually, you know, Sudan has very close relations in the history during Al-Inqaz regime. So they don't like to repeat the same experience. So CISA held at Khartoum in order to make a proactive strategy to control any potential risk that arise from existence of the terrorist group in the area, especially the extremists who came on some fundamentalists. So they are worried about, especially Sudan has a long history with these groups. They are worried about the emerging role of the terrorist groups in the region and in the world. So now there is a conflict in the eastern border of Sudan between Tigray and Ethiopian government. And also there is a political congestions in the borders of Rwanda and Congo. And a different part of Africa, they are active or facing emerging potential risk of terrorist group. Sudan is very fertile land for these activities, and it has a long history with these activities during Al-Inqaz regime. Now, the CISA is worried about positions of Sudan, especially during the last year after the military coup. So they are worried about emerging positions of these groups, and again they get back to the force and they can repeat the same experience. So they held this special meeting at Khartoum in order to develop proactive strategy that avoid any potential risk in the future. Needless to repeat that this terrorist group with damaging consequences on the economy and the political life of nations. So I think this is a special movement for the CISA members in order to draw roadmap for avoidance of any risk arise from the terrorist group that can come back again like before. So people worry about this.
Especially maybe the special rule, but do you think that Sudan is now qualified under the present situation of complete, so many military factions are roaming in the
Yeah,
big
yeah,
cities
yeah,
with their weaponry,
yeah,
and
yes,
the ununified army. You have
yeah,
people are talking about the army, the
yeah,
national army, the rapid support forces,
yeah,
the armed struggle groups.
yeah,
Everybody is carrying arms. Do you
yeah.
think Sudan will be in a position, will be capable
Yeah, Sudan at
to do
higher risk.
anything?
Yeah, at higher risk. If you classified risk as a middle, moderate, higher, Sudan at higher risk because of fractions of armed forces. You have different armed forces. You have different armed tribes. You have different armed individual arms everywhere in the country. So this is fertile land for terrorism to grow up,
Yeah.
and people can come from different parts of world and can join these terrorist activities at this land. And especially, you know, the history of this country.
Do you see
Most
this?
of the leaders, they come
Yeah,
through Sudan
yeah.
also.
Sudan, yeah, they used to come.
Yes, yes, I worry about this position.
But
Actually.
most of the dangerous leaders of the terrorist groups
Yeah,
were here in
well-known
Sudan.
figures. Yeah,
Osama bin Laden and
yeah, Carlos,
Carlos and
all
others.
the yeah,
So that's why maybe the conference,
yeah,
the leaders of this conference, these are very important
yeah,
people in their countries.
yeah,
They
yeah.
must be very worried
Very
about
aware, of position.
and
Of
worried about what is happening in Sudan.
yes, in Sudan.
They definitely they know,
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
the intelligence
Yeah.
of their countries, they definitely
Yeah.
they have
Take
the
maximum care of
the whole
that.
picture.
Yes.
That Sudan is now number one
Yes.
risk.
Yeah.
Is
Even in Somalia also they start to make some clashes there. So surrounded by more and creating more fertile land for reproducing terrorism again. So
Yes.
this is really a very high risk country, classified as high risk country.
Sudan is high risk country.
Yeah, definitely, because of the spread of arms in the hands of groups and hand of individuals, movements. Most of individuals they hold armies and involved in military actions. So that will create a very risky environment in the country. So they need to make a pro-action or what proactive strategy to minimize the potential risk in country. So I think this is one
But to
reason.
these people, this is a good chance that I address these people, maybe if they hear us, and to the Sudanese people that they don't have. I myself, this is my own judgment.
Yeah.
I don't think Sudan will spill out to any chaos because the army. Still, the army. I believe the army is coherent, is united, is strong, and patriotic nationalist.
Yeah.
Very few who are
Yeah.
they have ideologies. Very
Yes.
few.
Yeah.
Because we have the rank and file, we have the forfeiters, we have more than about 300,000. They
Yeah.
are all strong and they are all Sudanese.
Yeah.
Sudanese, patriotic Sudanese.
Yeah.
So I am sure the
Yeah.
safety catch and the safeguard of the countries,
Yeah.
Sudan,
Yeah.
not to spill
Yes.
into chaos, is the army,
Yeah.
the national army of the country.
Yeah, definitely.
So we have to greet them
Yeah.
from this episode.
Yeah, definitely.
Send our best wishes
Yeah.
and hope that the army will continue being intact,
Yeah.
minding
Yes.
its own business.
Yeah.
Okay, my last question, maybe we don't have time.
Yeah.
My last question is about just tell me about two important armed struggle groups. Very important. They are the SPLM North,
Yes.
Abdel Helu, and therefore Sudan Liberation Front of Abdel Wahid.
Yeah.
But they are almost against everything.
Yeah, I think they are reluctant because of secularism. These people strongly believe in secularism. And if you flash back the history of negotiations, when Al-Hilu met General Burhan in Juba, the first agenda focused on secularism, that separation of religion from the state. And again, Abdul Wahid repeat the same agenda. They strongly emphasize secular state should be stated. And I think this is something, this is early to talk about. You need to go through the constitutional conference in order to decide whether the state take a pure secular form or to be civil or to take any other form. It is not a matter of a movement. Movement doesn't present all Sudanese people. So I think this issue does not serve the interest of the local people against which these leaders are fighting. The people, they need service. They need a pragmatic service to be presented in health, in education, in food, in different services. But the issue of secularism, this is a national issue and agenda, should be tackled through national conference that is addressed by all Sudanese people and by all the players in national discourse. A single movement cannot decide whether the country to be secular or to be civil or to be religious. This is a matter that to be tackled by the nation. So I think the core issue of this movement by Al-Hilu and Abdul Wahid, they focus on this issue. It is difficult to solve at this time.
So they will not join at any
I
stage
don't
the
think
Juba
that,
agreement.
Yeah, I don't think
the people are trying to push them to but with their adamant stand on the new Sudan,
yeah,
and the clear statement of non-secular state.
yeah,
This cannot be
which is
achieved.
difficult.
It can only be achieved in the
in
parliament.
democratic system, yeah, only through parliament or through a constitutional
But
conference.
Sudan used to be secular since independence.
Yeah.
Nobody mentioned this. It was secular state.
Yeah, since independence, people, there is, although they mention some theoretically, but in practice, Sudan, implying at least civil standards.
Civil standards, yes.
Yeah.
It was not religious, definitely.
Yeah.
And it was secular.
It is not religious, but especially during Al-Inqaz, there is some sort of religious state.
So maybe even during Al-Inqaz, even the constitution of Al-Inqaz 2005 did not mention in that constitution, by the way, the president
accepted
of the
by
country,
SPLM.
And the president could have been a non-Muslim.
Yeah.
According to the constitution.
Yes.
That's why maybe John Garang could have run for elections, and so the issue is maybe in the word, or the sensitivity of the word. So maybe they can bypass it.
I think Abdulaziz Al-Hilu is a part of SPLM. The general or the leader, Dr. John Garang himself, he accepted the constitution of 2005.
Yes, yes.
So I think either Al-Hilu presenting a new proposal different from SPLM, or otherwise you have to accept the proposal. Yes.
Okay, Professor, Associate Professor Sammani Hanoun, you have been with us for 1 hour, so thank you. Thank you, dear viewers, for being with us in the last hour, and we touched most important issues. We hope to see you next week on the same time, and another issue, hoping that by that time, till next week, that something is appears in the horizon, which solve the impasse of today. Thank you and bye.